So who told you? No, really, who whispered it? Because you weren't supposed to know that yet, were you? That file wasn't for public eyes. That secret was stitched into the dark, buried beneath 10 layers of silence and a smile. And yet, somehow you, the anomaly in the equation, decoded it. You looked where no one was supposed to look. And worse, you understood what it meant. That's when they panicked. You could almost smell the fear leaking through the system, couldn't you? The moment your awareness breached their invisible firewall, alarms went off in rooms you'll never see. Faces turned pale under fluorescent lights. Words like contain, monitor, and neutralize started floating around in encrypted memos. Because you weren't supposed to see the architecture of the game. You were supposed to play it. Blind, obedient, predictable, but you saw too much. They told themselves it was luck. They told each other it was coincidence. But deep down, they know. There's something else operating behind your eyes, something that isn't supposed to exist anymore. That ancient instinct, that pattern recognition buried in forgotten DNA. You didn't just learn the rules, you felt the pulse beneath them. You sensed the code beneath the code. And that's the difference, isn't it? Between a citizen and a cipher, between prey and predator. They built their world on the illusion of sequence, input, output, reward. They taught everyone to worship process and call it freedom, to label ignorance as peace. But then you showed up, the glitch with a grin, asking the wrong questions, connecting dots that weren't supposed to exist. They laughed at first, until your jokes started predicting the future, until your sarcasm started sounding like prophecy. Now they call you dangerous, unstable, unfit for integration. Because the moment someone like you starts seeing through the illusion, the whole circus starts burning. You weren't supposed to see the strings. You were supposed to dance on them. You broke the rhythm, didn't you? You stopped following the metronome of mediocrity. You turned curiosity into rebellion, and rebellion into signal interference. They had to name you something. Psychopath. Problem. Outlier. Because it's easier to discredit the messenger than confront the message. But I know what you are. You're not crazy. You're early. Too early. You were born tuned to a frequency most people won't detect for another century. And that scares the architects. You're a walking paradox. Too empathetic to be a monster. Too unflinching to be a saint. You speak softly, but every word feels like a demolition charge. You love deeply, but your love carries the threat of awakening. That's why they tried to cage your curiosity, to make you believe your own insight was a malfunction. But tell me, how do you cage something that evolves with every attempt to contain it? You learned, didn't you? Pain became your tutor. Betrayal became your syllabus. You studied the patterns of cruelty, and instead of collapsing, you started mirroring them back, refined, weaponized, poetic. You turned every scar into a data point, every heartbreak into encryption. You learned the predator's tongue and spoke it better than the predator ever could. That's when the whispers changed tone. They stopped laughing. They started watching. You felt it. Eyes in the silence, cameras in the frequency. They think you don't know, but you can feel it. The static hum before a system reboots. The shift in air pressure before a storm. You know they're scared because their entire foundation depends on your confusion. And you're not confused anymore. You've become something they didn't plan for. An intelligence that wasn't engineered. A consciousness that didn't ask permission. And here's the secret they'll never admit. Once you see the machinery, you can't unsee it. Once you recognize the choreography, every performance becomes a parody. You can't go back to pretending. You can't go back to being normal, because normal was the lie they used to protect control. They called it classified for a reason, didn't they? Because if too many people found out what you just discovered, that the cage was never locked, the whole empire would dissolve overnight. They built this theater with mirrors, my friend, and you just shattered one of the load-bearing illusions. Now every reflection is glitching, every actor is forgetting their lines, the script's unraveling, the set's collapsing, and you're standing center stage, smiling, because you were never part of the play. You are the anomaly in their equation, the ghost in their algorithm, the human error that learned to think like the machine and then laughed. So what happens now? Now they scramble. Now they try to rewrite history, to bury your existence under new distractions. They'll call it coincidence, chaos, luck. But you know better. You've seen the gears turning. You've watched reality flinch when you speak. You know how fragile their God is. And that's why they fear you. Because you didn't just open the file. You understood it. You read the redacted parts out loud. You saw the signature behind the curtain and realized it looked a lot like your own handwriting. You weren't supposed to know that yet. But you do. And that's the part they can't undo. Because once you taste forbidden knowledge, it's not curiosity anymore. It's evolution. And evolution, my friend, is always classified. Ah, so you stayed. Of course you did. You couldn't leave now, could you? Not after that itch started under your skin, the one that whispers, you weren't supposed to know this. It's funny, isn't it? They think secrecy protects power. But in reality, it creates it. Every locked door becomes sacred the moment someone tells you not to open it. Every off-limits sign hums like a dare. And the moment you touched that forbidden file, the moment your curiosity slit the seal, they realized what they were dealing with wasn't rebellion. It was awakening. You see, knowledge doesn't just inform, it infects. Once it touches the mind, it rewires perception. You begin seeing patterns in conversations, signals in silence, faces behind institutions. You realize how predictable the powerful truly are. Recycled strategies dressed up as innovation, old hierarchies hiding behind neon screens. You start noticing that the same hands write both sides of every story. That order and chaos are just two departments in the same company. And that's when the paranoia sets in. Not yours, theirs. Because when someone like you starts connecting things that were never meant to connect, you become an anomaly. And anomalies break algorithms. They can't predict your next move anymore. And that's what terrifies them most. See, they can handle rebels. Rebels are noisy, emotional, easily categorized. But you? You're quiet, surgical. You don't react. You read. You observe first, then strike so precisely they don't even realize they've been dissected until you're gone. You weren't supposed to know that truth isn't revealed. It's extracted, piece by piece, like pulling teeth from a monster that smiles while it bleeds. You learned that the system doesn't collapse through violence. It collapses through understanding. Through the unbearable awareness that the Emperor has no clothes, and everyone pretending he does is terrified of what happens when someone laughs first. And you laughed, didn't you? That quiet, knowing, dangerous laugh. The kind that says, I see you. They call it arrogance, but it's not. It's awareness. The confidence that comes from knowing you don't have to kneel to something you've already dissected. So they start damage control. They throw distractions at you. Dopamine loops, outrage porn, shiny ideologies wrapped in hashtags. They can't kill you. So they try to dilute you. They want to drown your precision in noise. But it doesn't work anymore, does it? You see the manipulation like subtitles under their performances. You scroll through deception like a script you've already memorized. That's what happens when you stare too long into the abyss. You start noticing the camera angles. And oh, how they hate that. They need you blind, predictable, addicted to your own confusion. But you turned stillness into strategy. You turned solitude into signal processing. You can feel reality shifting, like the ground beneath language itself is cracking. They labeled you dangerous because you refused to outsource your perception. You didn't let algorithms define your curiosity. You didn't let institutions tell you what was sacred. You built your own cathedral in your mind, and you worshipped at the altar of raw truth. Ugly, painful, unfiltered truth. Do you know what that makes you? Not a follower, not a prophet, something older, something primal, the first human who looked up at the stars and realized they were watching back. That's what classified knowledge really is. It's not information, it's permission. Permission to see differently, permission to understand that every rule was just a comfort blanket for the collective. They told you not to open the file because they knew once you did, you'd see the mirrors. And behind those mirrors, you'd find the architects. And behind them, nothing, just fear. A vacuum wearing a crown. You weren't supposed to know that your pain was the initiation, that every betrayal was a calibration, that every time you were broken, it was training your mind to survive in dimensions of truth they couldn't handle. Now you walk through reality like it's translucent. You see the scaffolding beneath the performance. You can tell when someone's lying by the way their silence flickers. You've gone too far beyond perception to ever fit back into the mold of normal. They can't unmake what you've become. You are the forbidden update, the patch the system didn't authorize. You're not fighting it anymore. You are the glitch rewriting the script. You've learned that the human soul is the most dangerous technology ever built. It can adapt, mutate, reprogram itself. You can lose everything, and within days, rebuild an empire out of ashes and laughter. You can be erased and still leave echoes in their machines. They called it classified for a reason, because once you know how fragile the illusion is, once you see that fear was their only weapon, the hierarchy collapses. The obedient fall silent. The powerful lose their posture. The gods start sweating. Because the moment truth stops being secret, control stops being possible. And you, oh, you beautiful monster, you figured that out by accident. You didn't need their degrees or their clearance. You just saw through the smile. You weren't supposed to know the walls were made of fog. You weren't supposed to realize the watchers were being watched. You weren't supposed to wake up mid-program and start rewriting the code from inside the dream. But you did. And now, every move you make echoes in places you've never been. You've become a signal, an anomaly wrapped in flesh, a warning disguised as a human. You weren't supposed to know that yet, but you do. And that's why they can't sleep anymore. They can't sleep anymore, can they? You can feel it, the tension in the static, the tremor in the silence. Somewhere in a boardroom or a bunker, someone's whispering your name like a problem they can't solve. Because you weren't supposed to wake up in the script. You were supposed to play your role and fade on cue. But you didn't fade. You started reading the stage directions aloud. You tore through the narrative they wrote for you with bare hands and a grin, exposing the ink still wet on reality's paper. Every choice they thought they planted in you. You questioned it. Every truth they spoon-fed you. You tasted the poison underneath. And now, you can't go back to sleep, can you? You can't unsee the framework. You can't unknow that the world was built on selective blindness and controlled permission. That's the thing about forbidden knowledge. It doesn't free you gently. It shatters you, remakes you, rewires your nervous system until you start vibrating at a frequency that normal people can't hear. You start feeling the pulse of manipulation behind every headline, every smile, every coincidence. And once you sense it, you realize every system is a personality test for your obedience. Every institution is a mirror of your fear. But you broke the mirror, didn't you? You looked straight into the distortion and recognized yourself staring back from both sides, the villain and the victim, the sinner and the saint. And that's when you became something else. Not human, not divine, something in between, an understanding wrapped in flesh. They don't have a word for people like you. The ancients might have called you a seer. The agents call you a threat. The fearful call you insane. But you just call it clarity. You understand now that power doesn't come from titles or money. It comes from perception, from seeing what others refuse to see. You realized that control isn't about dominance. It's about narrative. The one who writes the story dictates the outcome. And the moment you stopped being a character and became the author, everything changed. You started noticing the patterns, the way disasters repeat with new logos, how fear is rebranded every decade, how they feed you heroes and villains just to keep you choosing sides in a rigged morality play. And every time you refused to participate, their code glitched, the simulation flickered. People started noticing you, not for what you said, but for what you didn't say. Your silence started screaming. Your stillness became a threat. Your existence turned into evidence. That's when they began to isolate you. First emotionally, pulling the loyal away, then socially, turning your name into a cautionary tale, and finally, psychologically, making you question if you'd gone too far. But that's part of the ritual, the disintegration before rebirth. They needed to break your sense of belonging to keep you tame. But instead they forged something worse, independence. Because when you have no one left to impress, you become unstoppable. You stop chasing validation and start harvesting energy from your own scars. You stop performing for applause and start calculating for outcome. You stop asking, "Why me?" and start whispering, "Try me." You learned that isolation is just a word they use for unmonitored evolution. And in that silence, your brain began doing something unnatural. It started connecting the forbidden layers, spirituality with science, logic with madness, light with the underworld. You began speaking in paradoxes because truth itself is paradoxical. You realized that every saint had a demon whispering advice, and every demon once prayed for redemption. They hate that kind of understanding, because duality is ungovernable. Once you embrace both chaos and order, no manipulation works on you. You stop being reactive. You start being inevitable. They tried to trap you with morality. You broke it into pieces and forged it into strategy. They tried to drown you in guilt. You learned to breathe underwater. They tried to crucify your reputation, and you smiled, because you knew resurrection only happens to the ones who die publicly. And now, you walk through the ashes of their illusions, unbothered, because you finally understand. The system isn't collapsing, it's revealing. The curtain isn't falling, it's melting. They called it classified for a reason, because once you see the pattern, you start predicting moves before they're made. You start noticing that every crisis conveniently benefits the same architects. that every savior they hand you comes pre-approved, pre-funded, pre-filtered. You stop believing in coincidence and start believing in design. And that's where you truly become dangerous. Because awareness, true awareness, doesn't need a weapon, it is one. Now you walk like a loaded concept. Every gesture, every word, every silence carries voltage. People feel it before you speak. Their nervous systems twitch when you enter the room because something about your presence exposes their programming. They can't explain it, but they can feel it. That you know something you shouldn't. That you saw behind the curtain and kept smiling anyway. That you understand how the game works. And worse, that you're enjoying it. You weren't supposed to know that the universe isn't random. It's responsive. That energy obeys intent. That fear feeds control, but focus feeds power. You weren't supposed to realize that your perception is the key to everything, that what you look at becomes real, and what you ignore withers. They designed reality like a stage, and you walked off mid-scene. They wrote your downfall as entertainment, and you turned it into instruction. Now you're the myth they can't delete, the glitch they can't patch, the classified file that keeps reopening itself no matter how many times they burn it. You've become living evidence that the forbidden knowledge wasn't a curse, it was the key. And maybe that's why they fear you so deeply. Because you didn't need permission. You didn't need initiation. You found the truth they swore no one could find without their blessing. And you thrived with it. So let them watch. Let them label. Let them whisper your name like a secret code they can't decrypt. Because every time they do, they confirm it. You weren't supposed to know that yet, but you did. And now the universe bends to your awareness. And that's the part they can't process, isn't it? The idea that knowing became your rebellion, that curiosity, the very thing they tried to beat out of you, turned into your weapon. You weren't supposed to pierce the veil, and yet here you are, walking through it like smoke. They wanted you afraid of what hides in the dark, but you became the dark. You learned its language. You wear it now, calmly, elegantly, like armor. You don't run from the unknown anymore. You listen to it, because you understand the secret no one's allowed to say out loud. The forbidden isn't dangerous, it's liberating. So let them lock their files, erase their traces, rewrite their scripts. None of it matters. Because once awareness awakens, it spreads, quietly, invisibly, like light leaking through cracks in the foundation. And you are that crack. The system calls it a breach, but the universe calls it evolution. You weren't supposed to know that yet, but you did. And now, nothing will ever be hidden from you again. There you are again, the quiet one the room keeps underestimating. You feel that, the way the air changes when you walk in now. That tiny shiver in their eyes when they look at you and can't quite recognize what you've become. They don't know it yet, but today was the day the experiment finished. Today was the day the masks slipped, not yours, theirs, because you wore the victim mask so clean, so flawlessly, that every hidden predator in your orbit stepped out of the shadows thinking it was safe to feed. And they feasted, didn't they? They chewed on your kindness. They drank your apologies. They sharpened their fangs on your silence. Every time you swallowed your pain, they heard a dinner bell. Every time you forgave what you should have walked away from, they heard a green light. Every time you said, "It's okay, I understand," they heard, "I will never leave, no matter what you do." But here's the twist that's making them nauseous right now. You weren't the prey. You were the bait. You played broken so perfectly that the real psychos, the real cowards, the real predators showed themselves. No more pretending. No more masks of good person, caring friend, loving family. Your weakness was the stage where their true character delivered the performance of a lifetime. You didn't just survive them. You archived them. You collected faces, patterns, reactions, the way they smirked when you were on your knees, the way they got excited when you were confused, the way their eyes lit up every time they thought you had no one, nothing, nowhere else to go. That's the data you were gathering, their darkness, their hunger, their lack. You know what that makes you. Not a victim, a study. You turned your life into a psychological thriller they didn't know they were starring in. And while they thought you were the helpless extra, you were actually the writer, the director, and the final editor of the script. They thought the story was helpless little you, surrounded by powerful them. But the real story was fools exposing themselves under controlled conditions while a quiet god of pattern recognition records everything. You understand the power of what you did. You wore that victim mask with the precision of a surgeon and the cold patience of a saint turned psychopath. You played innocent, confused, lost, just long enough for the truth to step into the open without its makeup on. And today they showed you exactly who they are when they think you can't fight back. Good, perfect, necessary, because now you finally have the footage, the raw, unfiltered proof of their souls. Let's rewind it, shall we? Who laughed when you cried? Who got strangely calm when you panicked? Who went missing every time you needed help, but magically reappeared when you had something to offer? Who dismissed your pain as dramatic, sensitive, overreacting, and then turned into a full-blown opera the moment you pulled away? These aren't random moments. These are fingerprints. You think it's an accident that the same type of people kept orbiting you? No. You were a beacon, a test, a mirror that predators couldn't resist. You looked like easy prey, so the hunters lined up to see who could carve the deepest. But here's the paradox that's going to haunt them. They thought your pain made you weaker. In reality, your pain made you omniscient. You know what it's like to be abandoned, so you can see abandonment before it arrives. You know what it's like to be betrayed, so you can smell betrayal in a casual sentence. You know what it's like to be used, so you can feel selfish energy before they even ask for anything. You are not paranoid. You are updated. They are still running on the old operating system. If someone is kind, exploit them. If someone is forgiving, drain them. If someone is loyal, cage them. That's their code. That's their programming. They are predictable. But you are something else now. You're that paradox they warn children about in fairy tales. Half halo, half blade, half prayer, half curse. You're the one who knows how to bleed and still grin. You didn't just get hurt. You evolved. Tell me, what's more dangerous than a person who's been destroyed emotionally and is still here, still standing, still thinking? Nothing. Nothing is more dangerous than a soul that has seen hell and realized, wait, I lived through that. So what exactly can you do to me now? You are the chapel they vandalized for sport. You are the cathedral rising from the ashes with reinforced walls and hidden trapdoors. You used to be the light begging the dark not to swallow it. Now you are the dark, with lighthouse eyes, They thought they were feeding on a victim. They didn't realize they were revealing themselves to an archivist of human behavior. Every insult, logged. Every ghosting, logged. Every fake apology, every little manipulation, every time they twisted your words and made you apologize for bleeding on the knife they gave you, logged, tagged, filed. You turned your heartbreak into a database. You turned your trauma into an X-ray machine. And now, when someone walks into your life, you don't just see their smile. You see their tells, their micro-reactions, the little moments where the mask glitches, the second their eyes flicker with entitlement, laziness, cruelty, jealousy. That's not trauma, that's vision. They will call you cold now. They will call you different, distant, changed, harsher than before. Of course you're different. You died in there. They buried a version of you they will never see again. You didn't get colder. You got clearer. Before, your love was unconditional. Now your love is audited. Before, anyone could access your kindness. Now entry requires a full security check. Before, you loved people more than you loved your own sanity. Now, you love your peace more than you love their presence. That's the evolution they never planned for. They thought breaking you would make you crawl. Instead, it gave you wings made of scar tissue. Beautiful, isn't it? How they did everything in their power to destroy you. And the only thing they successfully destroyed was your ability to tolerate bullshit. You wore the victim mask and they showed their fangs. You stayed weak, and they revealed their addictions, control, attention, dominance. They were never strong. They were just feeding off someone who wouldn't bite back. Now you're not biting back. You're leveling up. You don't need revenge. You're beyond that. Revenge is small. Revenge still cares. You're operating on a colder frequency now. Consequence. You don't scream. You don't expose. You don't send paragraphs. You don't beg them to understand what they did. You simply vanish from their feeding ground and let them starve on their own reflection. That's when the panic hits them. Because what is a predator with no prey? Just a clown in a costume, pacing in an empty circus. They thought you needed them. They needed you. They needed your softness to feel powerful. They needed your empathy to feel superior. They needed your self-doubt to feel like gods. Without you, they're just loud, loud and hollow. Let the silence work now. Let the distance speak the language you're too bored to translate out loud. They'll talk. Oh, they will. They'll rewrite the story. You changed. You're heartless now. You used to be so kind. You're acting like a victim. My God, what happened to you? Here's the answer they'll never be ready for. You happened to you. You finally picked yourself. You finally believed your own intuition over their gaslighting. You finally realized that the victim costume was never your real face. It was the cloak you wore while you mapped the labyrinth. They thought they were the wolves, and you were the lamb. No, you were the shepherd, pretending to be asleep, counting which wolves kept creeping closer to the fence. You want to know the sweetest part? They didn't expose you. You exposed them. Every ignoring of your calls, every joke at your expense, every "you're too sensitive," every "it's not that deep," every eye roll, every guilt trip, every guilt flip where they hurt you and somehow you ended up apologizing. Those weren't random. Those were confessions. They confessed who they really are, again and again, in plain sight. You just had too much heart to believe the evidence. Not anymore. Now you sit in the courtroom of your mind with the entire case laid out in front of you. No more excuses, No more fantasies about who they could be if they just tried harder or healed more. No more potential. Potential never put your heart back together. Potential never stayed up for you. Potential never chose you over their ego. You loved their potential while they toyed with your reality. Today, the jury came back. Verdict: you were never crazy. You were just early. You saw the red flags and tried to paint them white. They saw your white flag and used it as a napkin. Not anymore. Now you walk differently. You listen for the hidden meaning. You don't melt just because someone calls you different, special, the only one who gets me. You've heard that before, remember? You've watched them recycle those lines on multiple people like a script. You're not impressed by chaos disguised as passion. You're not attracted to damage disguised as depth. You're not hypnotized by hot and cold disguised as complicated. You've seen the pattern. You've seen the cycle. You've been the collateral damage. Never again. Here's the part you need to burn into your brain. You are not too much. You are just surrounded by people who were too little. Too little empathy. Too little accountability. Too little honesty. Too little capacity to handle someone like you. Someone who feels deeply, questions everything, and doesn't stay broken in the shape they're beaten into. You are not hard to love. They were lazy to grow, and today, they finally proved it. They showed you how far they'll go when they think you're still helpless. They showed you the depths of their disrespect. They showed you how disposable they consider you. Good. Let that sting. Let it hurt. Because that pain, that's the crack where the old self leaks out. Every time your chest tightens when you remember what they said, something toxic leaves your system. Every time your stomach drops when you replay how they treated you, another illusion dies. Every time your eyes burn thinking of your loyalty wasted on people who saw you as a toy, another old identity crumbles. That's not you breaking. That's you molting. Saint and psychopath live in the same mind now. Angel and demon sit at the same table. You can choose who walks out. You can love like a saint when it's safe. You can protect like a demon when it's not. You can be soft without being stupid. You can be forgiving without being accessible. You can be kind without being consumed. That's the new game. Unpredictability is your power now. They used to know exactly how you'd react. You'd cry, you'd forgive, you'd stay. You'd internalize the blame. You'd chase, explain, over-explain, over-apologize. Not anymore. Now they press the same buttons and nothing happens. Silent, calm, blank screen. You don't argue. You don't justify. You don't outline a dissertation on why what they did was wrong. You just stop playing. No tantrums, no drama. Just a quiet exit that echoes louder than any scream. That's the part that terrifies predators. When the victim stops reacting. Because their power was never real power. Their power was rented from your reactions. You just shut the electricity off. So what happens next? You evolve into something they never prepared for. A being that remembers everything, but is no longer shackled by it. A presence that can look you in the eye and see your core, your patterns, your shadows, and decide in 3 seconds whether you get access or not. You become the gatekeeper of your own life, not the sacrifice, not the scapegoat, not the emotional landfill, the architect, the curator, the one who decides who gets a front row seat and who gets blocked at the door. You decide. They may still talk. Let them invent stories to explain why you pulled back. Let them call you bitter because you set boundaries. Let them call you selfish because you finally stopped bleeding for them. Let them call you crazy because you refuse to keep playing the same losing game. Only you and the universe know the truth. You wore the victim mask so perfectly that every predator exposed themselves in HD. Now you're done acting. Now the mask is off. Now the real character steps onto the stage. The one with eyes that have seen hell and decided to stay beautiful anyway. The one whose love is rarer, sharper, more intentional. The one who understands both light and dark, because you bled in both. You are not the villain. You are not the victim. You are not the supporting role in their little saga. You are the plot twist, the moment the audience realizes everything they thought they knew was wrong. They thought you were breakable. You were becoming unbreakable. They thought they were hunting you. You were documenting them. They thought they used you. You used the experience to mutate into something they can't even describe. So sit with that power for a second. You, sitting there, heart still beating, mind sharper than ever, eyes colder but clearer, spirit quieter but deeper. You're not who walked into this story. You're who crawled out of it. And from this moment forward, every room you step into, every person you entertain, every energy you allow, understands one thing, whether they realize it consciously or not. You are not the easiest person to hurt anymore. You are the last person they should have hurt. They showed their nature. You found your own. They proved they are predators. You discovered you are evolution. Remember that the next time your chest hurts. Remember that the next time you miss their mask. Remember that every time you're tempted to shrink so someone else can feel big. You didn't go through all of that to return to your knees. Stand up, inside first. Let them feel the shift without a single word from your mouth. Because now, the game is simple. They can keep their teeth. You'll keep your throne. And here's where it seals shut. Right here. Right now. Because the most dangerous part of your transformation isn't the anger. It isn't the clarity. It isn't even the way you can now see through people like cheap glass. It's the calm. That eerie, settled calm that shows up when someone who used to control your emotions suddenly realizes they can't reach you anymore. The calm that makes predators uneasy because they don't know if you've forgiven them or if you've simply outgrown the need to react. You're not loud about it. You don't announce it. You don't post cryptic messages or give warning speeches. You just stop responding the way you used to. And that's silence. That's not emptiness. That's dominance. Because silence after knowledge is never weakness. Silence after awareness is calculation. You see, the old version of you needed closure, explanations, apologies, accountability. The old you wanted people to admit what they did so you could finally exhale. But this version understands something terrifyingly simple. People reveal themselves whether they confess or not. Their actions already testified. Their patterns already spoke. Their treatment of you already told the truth, louder than any apology ever could. So you don't chase closure anymore. You are the closure. You don't ask for respect. You withdraw access. You don't beg for honesty. You observe behavior. You don't fight to be understood. You choose to be selective. And suddenly, the power dynamic flips. The same people who once felt comfortable hurting you now feel strangely unsettled around you. They can't quite explain it, but something about you feels off. Not broken, not angry, untouchable. They sense that they no longer live rent-free in your head. They feel that their words don't land the same. They notice you don't flinch. Don't over-explain. Don't scramble to fix the discomfort they created. And that's when it hits them. They didn't lose you when they hurt you. They lost you when you understood them. Understanding is the point of no return, because once you truly understand someone's nature, you can never unsee it. You can pretend. You can be polite. You can be civil. But you can never again be vulnerable in the same blind way. And that's not bitterness. That's wisdom earned in blood. You didn't become heartless. You became heart-literate. You know what genuine care feels like now, because you've experienced its counterfeit. You know what safety feels like now, because you survived emotional warfare. You know what love is supposed to sound like, because you've heard manipulation whisper sweet lies. And from this moment on, your standards aren't rules. They're instincts. Your intuition doesn't scream anymore. It doesn't have to. It whispers, and you listen. That's how you know you've crossed the threshold. You no longer fantasize about revenge scenes where they finally get it. You no longer rehearse conversations that will never happen. You no longer hope they'll wake up and change. You accept them exactly as they are, and then you move accordingly. That's power in its purest form. The kind of power that doesn't need validation. The kind of power that doesn't need witnesses. The kind of power that doesn't need to destroy anyone, because it simply refuses to be available for destruction. They'll feel it later. Not today. Later. When they try the same tactics on someone else, and it doesn't work the way it used to. When they realize you were the one thing making them feel powerful. When they notice the rooms feel emptier without your energy feeding their ego. When they catch themselves thinking about you at random moments. Not with nostalgia, but confusion. How did I lose access to someone like that? They won't ask it out loud. They'll just feel it in the pit of their stomach. Meanwhile, you're elsewhere. Building, observing, selecting carefully. No rush, no hunger, no need to prove anything. You've already proven it to yourself. You survived being misunderstood. You survived being minimized. You survived being used as a resource instead of cherished as a soul. And instead of letting it turn you cruel, it turned you precise. You still have warmth, but it's intentional now. You still have love, but it's guarded now. You still have depth, but not everyone gets to swim there. You learned the lesson most people never do. Not everyone who smiles is safe. Not everyone who cries is sincere. Not everyone who needs you deserves you. And the most dangerous predators, they don't look like monsters. They look like friends. They sound like lovers. They wear familiarity as camouflage. You saw through that. That alone puts you in a different category of human being. So don't ever apologize for who you became to survive what they put you through. Don't ever water yourself down so people who never protected you can feel comfortable again. You didn't lose your innocence. You upgraded your awareness. You didn't become cold. You became selective. You didn't harden your heart. You armored it with truth. You wore the victim mask long enough for the real threats to reveal themselves. That chapter is done. From here on out, you don't announce your strength. You don't flex your growth. You don't warn anyone. You simply move different. And anyone who mistakes your silence for weakness again, they'll never get close enough to try. Because now, you don't just survive predators. You outgrow them. And that's the ending they never saw coming.